Well, it's time. Welcome to the July 15th, 2025 session of TAPR and HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KB0S, and this week I've been doing a few little projects, but my wife's having some surgery tomorrow, so we were kind of preparing for that as well. So anyway, that's it for me. Next on the list, we have Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Hello, everybody. I've been working pretty hard on this and that. Schematic and also a little adapter to allow use of the magnetometer with the B-links without the need for a Raspberry Pi in the equation, and so forth. But everything seems to take longer than I expect. But anyway, I get there. That's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Next on the list is Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim. Is he there?
It was a minute ago.
Yeah. No, he must have stepped away. We'll come back to him. Next on the list is Bill, Engelkey. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Okay, been busy here. Did a lot of importing of data off the WWV club server, which is where the Grape 2 CSV, that is FLDigi files, are going, as well as a Grape 1 legacy data is going there. We have transferred about 10 people away from uploading to the WWV club server, so that they're now uploading directly to the personal space with a station network at UA. We have about another dozen that I haven't heard back from one way or the other. So I'm going to take a look at them one by one and see which ones are still actively uploading and start pushing them to get converted over. I have been working with several people on some people have been having trouble with their systems. Now some of those systems have been in service enough time that their Western Digital drives, the purple drives that have such a high lifetime and whatnot, are actually starting to fail. Hetzel Hartley says his is not reachable and sounds like a sick cat when it starts up. So I think the drive is probably smoked. We have 2 or 3 of them like that. So I'm not sure what we want to do on this, if we want to provide people with replacement hard drives or what. This it's kind of a Nathaniel question. So I don't think he's here. So, but anyway.
I am here.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Sorry I got in late, but I'm here.
Okay, no problem. We're having some failures of some of the Western Digital drives, so we need to decide if we want to replace those or what we want to do with those stations.
Is this for a Grape 2?
Grape 1 legacy systems,
Yeah.
the original ones that they've been in service for about 4 years now. So
Yeah.
so I have really no opinion on it. All right, I'm making some progress building the new server. I got Django installed and running, but now I'm working on it. It has to work with Apache, and so I'm working on getting Apache to interoperate with it. As I mentioned, I'm building a Cushcraft A4S antenna, which is turned out to be, I did not realize how large it was till I started putting together, and the elements are 31 feet. And so I can put it up. I mean, I'm with this with this antenna, with this tower that I have that cranks up and down and tilts over. I can actually put the whole thing up by myself, but I'm going to have to cut down 3 or 4 trees, I think, in order to make room for it to rotate. So, but many DX contacts will come out of this operation, I'm sure. But anyway, that's what I have. Back to Ned.
Okay, let's circle back and Nathaniel, W2NAF, go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. Last week, Elmer Musser came out to my house, and he just gave an incredible amount of time working on debugging my personal space weather station RX888 systems, making sure that I have I'm as free from RFI as we could get within a week, and I think it worked out very well. I have 3 RX888 personal space weather station systems here, Whisper Demon stations. One is connected to a DX Engineering mag loop. One is connected to a DX Engineering active vertical. The other is connected to Glenn Elmore's SAS system. We only really worked on the active vertical and the SAS system because those are the ones that we're going to be considering deploying as part of the DAISY 2 project. So both of those are looking pretty good now. One of the major things that Elmer did last week, in addition to just debugging that RFI, is that he came up with a new design for the power supply for the VLF antennas. And the reason for that was to mitigate the spurs that the DC to DC converters were in the original design were producing at the HF frequencies. And he demonstrated that the system worked quite well. And Jonathan Rizzo was able to come over and hear it. And Jonathan also, who I see is on here as well now, I believe he said that the system performed well. So now Elmer is continuing to work on refining that design or improving it on what he learned. And we're hoping that we can incorporate that new design into the VLF system, and then we'll be able to deploy the VLF system as part of the full personal space weather station as we originally intended. Elmer, did I miss anything?
Other than it was hot and muggy.
Yeah, it was hot and muggy. Yes, I have limited air conditioning at my house, and so yes, that was it. And then another thing that, and maybe Jonathan can speak to this later, we are interested in trying to combine all the personal space weather station instruments onto a single B-Link computer rather than having a separate Raspberry Pi, B-Link, and then thin client for the VLF. And so Dave Witten has already talked about creating a USB adapter for the magnetometer, so that could run onto the B-Link. Jonathan, from talking to him, also believes that we can get the VLF system to run on the B-Link, with the idea that we would need to put a hardware serial port on the B-Link, which he said that Scott Newell has found that there is an M.2 serial board that could probably do the job. So I think that's something that's being looked at. If we do incorporate that hardware serial port onto the B-Link computer itself and then feed that with the GPS module, that gives us a couple advantages. Now that computer can get the very accurate timestamps and location stamps from the GPS module rather than over NTP, so that even if you have an internet outage or an NTP outage, as long as you have GPS, you're still getting extremely accurate timing. So those benefits that are already incorporated into the VLF system could then benefit the magnetometer and the HF system as well. So I think it was an extremely productive week, so that was good. And then this afternoon, we had a NJIT University of Scranton PSWS operations management telecon, and we are NGIT in Scranton is planning on going out to Jenny Jump again this Wednesday, and we're actually looking to install an RX 888 there this Wednesday. NGIT is taking the lead on getting all of the equipment for that. And then we are still planning on deploying things at Tim Duffy's K3LRs in August. So I was in touch. We were in touch by email today. We hammering out some of those details this week. So that's coming along. I'm hoping that after the Tim Duffy install and after these other installs, I'm hoping we'll get the VLF designs wrapped up, and then we'll really be able to finish the final BOM for what all of these things are going to look like, and start being able to, I guess, get things kitted out so that we can select the sites of people that are actually going to receive these things. So there's quite a bit going on. And Bill Engelke, I know that all of my systems are still not reporting to your server. So, but now that we have the RX 888s up and running here, and we have the Spectrum debug, hopefully I might be able to find time to meet with you later this week, maybe, and try to get all my systems back onto your server. But yeah, that's also a work in progress. So I think that is it for right now. Back to Net.
Okay. Next on the list, let's go with Elmer in 3AGE. Go ahead, Elmer.
So what Nathan said, but I'll now have a question. Is the magnetometer modification going to be part of this rollout, or is that future?
If we can make it work with this.
Okay, because I was just curious about the, this term already, the galvanic action. I don't know how it's configured today. We didn't have a problem with it, we don't think, because we added and removed it. But is the new USB type connection going to afford the same isolation, whatever that might be?
I'm not sure I heard all of what you.
So what I'm concerned about is, and I'm just bringing this up because we did all the testing to make sure we didn't have any harmonics generated from the equipment out to VLF. VLF is taking care of it into HF. There's a proposed change to the magnetometer interface.
Right.
And I don't know what that might possibly do to the galvanic action out to the magnetometer, if it affords the same kind of isolation that's there currently, or there's going to be a change in that. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, is because we already understand how all the other parts work and had solved it. A modification always is scary after you did the tests.
Okay. Well, I gotcha. Well, isolation is a question I've been struggling with, but for right now, really, well, actually, I expect we'll have all the isolation we had before, because all I'm really doing is I'm taking a little USB to I2C converter, which is and attaching it to a 40-pin header that looks a lot like the Raspberry Pis, and taking the existing magnetometer modules, this is an old one, and just plugging it straight in to this. And so the part that goes from the indoor magnetometer, this is to the one in the field, is exactly the same as before. It still uses differential I2C over Cat 5, Cat 6 cable, prefer better shield, and so that should not, at least not be any worse than what we already know, because it should be the same as. I had a little bit of question because I have 3 choices of these I2C to USB to I2C um, converters that are available pre-built at a price that's probably less than I can get one built. There's two from Paolo, I guess you say it, and one from Adafruit. And the Adafruit one uses an FTDI 232H module in I2C mode. And they don't talk much about isolation. On the other hand, the Paolo guys have two different kinds of isolation, but I think that only matters for indoors between you and the B-Link, because essentially what you're doing is you're plugging a USB-C cable here and this into your B-Link. And otherwise it's the same as ever. I just have to make sure that all the voltages are available, and that that they work exactly as they have in the past. So I think for this de minimis strategy here, we shouldn't have any problem, as long as I don't do anything stupid on the board. And right now I'm just using hand wired board that passes through, with blue wire. So it's quite simple. So I'm not concerned about that. Now, I think there's lots of other things we can do once we have this set up. So to be, you know, that's yet to be determined. But that's all something else.
Okay.
The-
Well, that was it, because every time we wiggle a wire, we find something new. I did leave a VLF receiver there, so if we were to plug it in, we could actually verify we don't pick up any additional harmonics.
Sure. Well, I don't know where they'd come from unless they're, unless
Great shack full of ghosts.
in the shack. Well, that is not impossible. And I would surely recommend using good quality, like I use these Thunderbolt
Yeah.
cables. But just because anything else there's something wrong with it for some purpose. I don't think you'll see any. I think I'm more confident of that than most things.
Yeah, and that's all I got.
Okay. Next on the list is Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. Well, not a whole lot to report this evening. I did have a question for Bill, which I don't need an answer to right now. I think my original grape is reporting to UA now, but I have not been able to get confirmation of that. So if you don't mind, if you would check sometime and drop me an email if there's a problem or if there's not, so I know that's not a big deal, but just haven't been able to confirm it, even though I think it's working. Let's see, I've got some antenna work I need to do. I determined that this evening. I am afraid the squirrels may have discovered the RG8 that I buried under some pine straw in a pine island, going out to where I have a remote switch to a couple of antennas, because something is squirrely with those antennas now. So, and it is known that squirrels like RG8 in just about any form you can produce it. This is berry flex, but I understand that it is not squirrel proof. So I will start looking into that tomorrow. Back to that, K4BSE.
Okay, very good. Next on the list is Bob, N5BRG. Go ahead, Bob.
Hello, everybody. I hadn't been here in a couple of meetings, and I've made some progress. I got my one of my multi-project boards in. It has a whole bunch of stuff on it, but I'm working on more or less all of them at the same time, it seems like. but I've got a board that one of the boards is just a little interface board that puts a 250 kilohertz A to D on the FX3 board. So I can try to do VLF with this. So I got a ultra low power supply front end on that, driving the whole thing. And so I'm bringing it up in sections here and getting close to the point of needing to write code for the interface to get it back into Phil's code is my goal here. So I'm making progress slowly but surely. Lots of little PC boards to build and software to write. So back to you.
That sounds like a good project. So next on the list is Clint, KA7OEI. Go ahead, Clint. Might be off doing something, but he's logged in, so we'll come back to him. Next on the list is Dave H, W6OQ. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So this week, spent some time looking at and thinking about the problems there at Nathaniel's place with the antennas interfering with each other, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Elmer's solutions for some of that was, and may also have something to share to help that out, depending upon how good he's got it fixed or whatever. So when we get to the discussion time, that's what I'm interested in. Thanks.
Okay. Next on the list is Dave Julian, WB9YIG. Go ahead, Dave.
Good evening, folks. Not much going on over here. We did got our great legacy talking now to Bill's bunch, and everything's working with that. Got a painter out there doing my deck, so I had to move all my weather equipment, so and antennas. So that's about all I got going on. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list is David McGaw, N1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. Not a lot to report. Been busy with a bunch of other things, but we do have some interesting stuff going on in the lab at Dartmouth, having to do with spacecraft. Anyway, and a bunch of thunderstorms just went through. Lots of lightning, but got a really nice red rainbow this evening. Got a full color rainbow earlier that I was driving straight into, but I got a red rainbow this evening as the sun was just setting. Very interesting. Back to net.
It is interesting. Next on the list, let's see, we call on Elmer. So next would be Jay Schwartz, WB8 SBI. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Just got my latest issue of QST, and there seems to be a few people on the cover and in a special issue inside it that we are very knowledgeable and know a lot about and would recognize on out there. So get that issue. You will be pleasantly surprised. You'll and I think it's really great that this group has been able to enjoy being the subject of a special issue of QST, a special article content. I can't recall the last time something like that happened. Maybe it has. I'm just not aware of it, but I can't recall it in memory. So that's a woohoo moment for this group. And I think that, yes, woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. I think it's also a QRO movement, a QRO signal for our group also. Not a QRP movement, a QRO movement. So, and I've been going through it today and starting to read it. So that's really, really good. Nathaniel, jumping ahead a while, any preliminary wild-ass guesses about where next year's HamSCI will be?
we're hoping that we can host it in Connecticut in collaboration with the ARRL. But that's still unofficial. But I am supposed to be meeting. Bob Inderbitz and I are hopefully meeting next week to talk about that. So we are getting that moving forward.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget that part of the agenda should be we all got to book a lot of operating time at 225 Main Street.
Absolutely. That would be
Yeah.
part of it. Yes.
And for those of you that have never been to 225 Main Street and operated that one station, you know, we're all familiar with antenna gain and we're familiar with amplifier gain. But when you operate there, you get W1AW gain. So, and there are several operating positions. So, it's something to be scheduled, and transportation from the hotel there, and food, things like that. But it's all doable, and it's really a blast when you get to do it too. I've done it this year after HamSCI this year. I drove up there, and it's fun. So, otherwise, nothing else new here from the Metro Detroit area. Other than that, we've got air pollution warnings because of Canadian wildfires have dominated the Great Lakes Basin for the past several days. Of wear your N95 mask outside. Make sure your air conditioning filters are rated to remove. I believe the correct specification is MERV, and don't ask me what it stands for. A 13 or higher rating to keep your indoor air quality clean. So that's the only significant event we have around here. Otherwise, nothing new here. 7-3, back to net.
Okay. Next on the list is Jonathan, KC3 EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. Nothing to report. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list is Paul Elliott. Go ahead, Paul. Oh, he said 1 minute.
There, just had to find the microphone button. Hi everybody. Good to see everybody. Sorry I missed the last one or two of these. I'm now down in Occidental, California. I spent some time traveling. But I brought a bunch of stuff with me, including the GPS interface board that Jonathan, I think, has been testing out. I've been threatening to build that BPSK modulator for, pulse per second modulation of some carrier at some frequency that would be injected into the the antenna port of, let's say, a 888 or some other receiver. And the hardware's working great. Unfortunately, well, somebody's going to need to write some software to decode and see how that works. But I'm happy with the basic performance of it. I mean, it's ludicrously simple. I mean, it's no reason it wouldn't work, but it does, so that's good. Also, Jonathan and Elmer and whoever else, be curious to hear later on about the need for any filters in the in front of the 888 receive filters. We talked about that last time, I think. And last thing I'm working on, I just sent out a design for a 10 or 20 watt Class E power amplifier. Kind of decided if I'm going to create something for the Beacon Blaster that's got more power out, and I have had a couple of requests, not just the potential WWV replacement design. I think I figured out how to best do that. So when that board comes in, I'll be experimenting with that, see if I can get the design up and running. There's some modern FETs that are really designed or targeted towards high-speed switching power supplies, but they've got excellent characteristics for like a Class C power amp. So I'll report back when it'll be a few weeks, but once I get something up and running and tested, then I'll know whether I have a way towards a more high power whisper sound output. And I guess that's about it. So back to Net.
Okay. I didn't notice earlier that Phil has had his hand up. So Phil, Karn,
Oh, yeah,
go
sorry. I
ahead.
didn't actually mean to push that little button, but anyway. Yeah,
Well,
we got back on Thursday from Germany after 3 weeks. This meeting was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I didn't try to attend while we were there. So not much work, except I'm starting to think about how to put in de-chirping facilities into KNIQ radio with the Radio D, so we can follow the unhonest signs and also maybe use it later for some frequency hop spread spectrum. Other than that, that's it.
very good. And sounds like it was a nice trip. I saw some of the presentations online. So Pavel had a nice presentation.
I just went to talk to people, really.
Oh, very good. Next on the list would be Scott Newell in 5TNL. Go ahead.
Hey, I've been working through some of the GNU radio tutorials and the time sync stuff. And of course, I'm really excited to hear about the Paul Elliott time sync hardware. So that's it for me.
Okay. And then next on the list is Tom in 5EG. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Dave and everyone. Continuing to work on the 4-channel receiver and just got 16 GPIO bits added to it so that if there are external selectable items like filters or other things, there'll be a way to control those external to the receiver. So that's about it. Back to the group.
Okay. Well, if I haven't, I believe I've called on everybody. If somebody hasn't been called on, please speak up now. Hearing none, we're open for general discussion.
Dave, permission to call
Go ahead.
K4BSC? Hey, Jim Farm, are you there? K4BSC?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we haven't gotten any data from you since June 26th or something.
Okay, I got something messed up in the software, I guess.
So just you mentioned that. I'm looking at I should demonstrate how you see what you're uploading on the system. Let me share my screen here so that you can see how to do this.
Okay.
Okay, let me real quick here. Yeah. Go to pswsnetwork.caps.ua.edu. That is the server. Now that is going to change here in a month or two when CAPS changes to ENG. They're moving us out from CAPS and putting us under the engineering department. So anyway, so go to observations and go to your call sign. Your Grape 1 legacy system would be running under K4BSE. See if I can find it here. Node 30. That is your Grape 1 legacy system, and then just hit filter. And here are we've got data for you. And now this may have come off the WWV server. I've had a whole bunch of systems working that download data from WWV, put it in here, and yeah, this probably came from, well,
Probably, yes.
what probably came off the WWV server. But when you get your system working so that it will upload, you'll start seeing the latest uploads at the top of this list. It shows the most recent stuff at the top.
Okay, great. I'll look for that. Hopefully, since I've got the others on disk, hopefully it'll upload everything when I get that straightened out.
I think it's been working that way. That is something well and his colleagues set up. So anyway, so that's all I had. Back to Ned.
Okay, I'll work on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
General discussion, so.
I did want to say, I don't know that anyone ever goes and looks at it for anything, but the quote Linode Akamai server that I've operated for a long time, and some people upload data to. I believe that what I see there, I see an awful lot of heavy bursts of data, and I'm suspecting that that's AI crawlers. And I'm thinking if I want to keep running it, I'm going to have to run Anubis or something like that. And then play that cat and mouse game. And I don't know, I would really like to clean that off and start over again, do it differently, but at some point, I'd like a judgment on whether I can do that without causing catastrophes to anyone. And I have no idea what Anubis would do to the uploads. I don't know. I don't know enough about how it works.
I have all my data here locally, so it wouldn't impact me if you did, but
I really don't think anybody's using it exclusively. And I don't know how many people are even using it at all at the moment. I know and it's just sitting there kind of I don't know. It just gives me a guilty itch now and then that I'm not keeping it productive. Another minor issue is that if we do decide to go this I squared C converter route, I probably am just gonna have some simple boards made, because there's just enough wiring to be irritating. I don't know how many of these you would plan to deploy, but there's nothing, it should be trivial. I can do it even through OSH Park or somebody. But because it'd be a single-sided board but I will need probably to have a box to put it in. And I doubt, since I haven't had any time to go near my own 3D printers, even though I have a nice new one that I'm dying to try out, I suspect somebody somebody might need to make a few boxes for those who care.
I'll volunteer to do that for you, Dave. Just send me a sketch of what you want the box to look like on paper, just hand drawn, and I'll pretty it up and send it back to you, and then we'll print them, however many you want.
Okay, well, I'm not there. I'm not ready for that yet, but when I get there, that's good to hear.
I'll send you the file too, and you can feed it to your printer when you turn it on.
Sure. I don't mind doing some, but I haven't been able to get near the thing.
Well, it takes a while to get over the startup hump on those things, though, too.
Yeah, yeah. I've got older ones that I haven't used in a long time. I have a new one that was supposed to inspire me to new heights of cleverness, but it hasn't worked out that way at the moment. Um, they've changed a lot over the years.
So in the opening there, I was mentioning that I'm interested in what Elmer was doing out there at Nathaniel's place in some detail. I've sort of thought about the problem and maybe have some suggestions, but I'd like to hear what the guy with the hands-on got going out there.
Okay. Well, there wasn't any epiphany moment, but I started off with, like Nathaniel was saying, working on the VLF. I had I took Clint's suggestion about how to apply a capacitor across the switching supply. So I found that on each switching supply, a 47 nanofarad capacitor mitigated that noise. But Jonathan brought up the galvanic action problem. So I was using, let's see, I'm going to hold one. Let's see if I can disconnect this without frying it. I used these little coils. They're phone charger kind of circuit to isolate the VLF power supply from any connection. So that made that go away. Once that went away, I was able to actually then look at the spectrum on HF because it was so swamped. What we found then, those signals going from HF over to VLF were caused by say the connection from the RX-888 to, or I should say the shack board side to the 888. So I put in a T1 that's just a regular little transformer. And we did that same to the DXE monopole. We found that, you take it off, put it back on, we could hear the harmonics kick in. To add a layer of noise reduction, I brought enough batteries along that we actually floated the DXE power supply either remotely or out at the antenna. We got the same result. And the shack board for the SAS antenna, I floated those onto a 12-volt power supply. It wasn't a horrific amount of noise, but it was just enough noise that we could hear it. And if you could mitigate it, we did. So now there's a battery design in progress to actually take that part of the station and maybe a little bit more of it to battery. And the battery will have at this point, a microprocessor flipping battery A to charger, battery B to destination, and then back and forth. There's a make before break that's going to take place. So the battery A and B will be on the output load side, and never once does the battery system touch, or I should say the output load side, ever touch the charging side, which will just be a linear DC supply or something that's available. As far as the antennas themselves, the DXE still has quite a bit of common mode noise coming in. You can see it. There's a sinusoidal loop in the RF itself. You can just see it in the noise floor. I don't know how to get further down and mitigate that. One of the things I'm going to try is, just for giggles, is put the RX-888 system right at the antenna. Don't know if that's going to make any difference. Same thing with the SAS. We found with the SAS, where we spent a lot of time, there seems to be an awful lot of current in the ground itself. Forget about anything else. The ground itself has quite a bit. When we shorted the poles on the antenna, the common mode noise went to almost zero, except for those leaks in the 888. And then when you turn it back on, you'd see the noise that you would not wanting to see, but it was there. I walked the property numerous times trying to find hot spots. I could never locate anything that was actually creating these currents. There's some theory about where it might be coming from, but we did do quite a bit of shack shutdown, meaning Nathaniel's house. But I never got around to it. I got to ask Nathaniel. There was a line going out to I'm going to call it the shed, barn, whatever, that was low hanging. Did we ever shut that one off?
I think it's just off.
Oh, so there's no power
I don't
going
think.
out?
Yeah, I can double check my circuit breaker, but I'm pretty sure I just have that turned off.
Okay. Because the other part that we didn't check, and I didn't have any tools to do that, was if the ground to the house is sinking current, because there might be a problem out at the commercial line coming in. We had Glenn, the designer of the SES, on the line with me, and we ran back through the things I did, and we repeated those tests. I did line replacement. I did antenna movement. I actually walked around like a flagpole to see what we could do. And depending where you were, it went from one level to another, but it never improved it to the point we call that improvement. Moving out to the distance, the Cat 6 cable loss was excessive, so the noise floor was lost into the mud, which is not what we wanted to see. So right now it's running on a 100-foot Cat 5 cable that I brought from the shack out to towards the antenna field area, but it's not that far from the house. Not really more I could talk about. Like I said, I ended up replacing everything a number of times, power cycling. Those power supplies, and every time we do this, those power supplies that we found were noisy, we removed. The other noise sources like LED lights and things like that, they're part of the house, so we're not going to be able to get rid of them. But you could definitely see them coming on and off. But the major contributor that we still see in the spectrum is unknown how it's being generated and from where. It's not the antenna itself. Again, you shut it down and the antenna is quiet while it's powered up. So the common mode rejection is working. It's just that whatever is being brought into the poles is there. And it's seen somewhat in the DXE as well. But there's other common mode problems with the DXE being on coax. The VLF system, when I had it local to the house, had quite a bit of harmonics still heard in it. Walking it out to the field greatly reduced that noise. We didn't get a whole lot of time out there with my antenna, but I could definitely hear the change in it. So it seems like there's something still going on around the power distribution to or from the house.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Okay.
the ground at a house, there's always current running through it. You're helping your neighbors know where ground is. It's really bad news. I have that problem in my house too. It's like, if I turn on something like a coffee maker on one side of the line, the line to line, the 250 volts stays steady, but the neutral moves around. I'm going to talk to the power company one of these days about that and see if they can make it a little bit better. But other than that, the things where you're putting the isolators, the T1 things, in there to break I think there's what they call a ground loop going on.
Yep.
Especially on the DXE antenna. And my idea would be to put that isolator there on the RF side. But I found out that the power supplies, the wall warts, the DX Engineering cells, the 12-volt ones, those have an isolated output. And I got one and measured that between the prong, the line prongs, and the output, I'm measuring about 25 picofarads. And I also tried to see if any leakage came through on the DC output to ground. I tried measuring current there. Couldn't see anything on a meter that went down to microamps. So I think those things are, pretty well isolated. If you go to you know, what I found out there was looking at the pictures on DX Engineering site for their wall warts for 12 volts. They have a label on them from a company called Jameco Electronics. You know, I don't know, you're familiar with Jameco? They're cheaper on Jameco than at DX Engineering. Well, no surprise. But they also have drawings there, detailed drawings, and they show that there's a split bobbin on the transformer core. And that's what I think you're getting the isolation from. So instead of your batteries, you might look at that and see if you could just, you know, hook up one of those instead of some complex system that swaps back and forth on batteries. That's my input there. And, you know, I'm not quite sure where you're at on the VLF power supply, but it would make me nervous to keep something there that's buzzing away at some frequency. I think you should try to go linear there. And
Well, we have that 2 paths in operation right now. So once we have that available, we'll test it. The straight DC and the galvanic isolated one.
okay, I mean, because, you know, the ones that are in there right now are obviously operating at a frequency that you have to try to, you know, filter out. I guess you're using some, you know, 47 nanofarad, I think you said. And, you know, it's just like, is that always going to be enough or not? And, you know, I would just look at seeing if you could, you know, get rid of that and get it down to, you know, down to linear type power supplies and get the switching stuff out. They're just,
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with you. The amplifier design at the antenna is a plus minus circuit. So the device that was chosen for that is in play. It's a matter of keeping the galvanic action from going from the shack out there so you don't hear the harmonics, which are very
Right,
present.
right. So what I'm saying is one of these isolated power supplies, you know, has a transformer in it, has 25 picofarads between the line terminals and the output. I think that's pretty well isolated. And, you know, you could use, I don't know if you'd want to use more than one to get the plus and minus, or, you know, take, they have them in different voltages up to 48, I think. So they have 24 and 48, and, you know, maybe you can take the 24 volt one and when you get out to the antenna end, put a couple voltage regulators there to split that supply and give you plus and minus, because, you know, it's completely floating. So you could do that.
But this power supply switching, right?
No, not switching. It's a transformer power supply as a bridge rectifier and a capacitor. You can go to Jameco site and look them up. They show this circuit and everything. They have the original, you know, data sheets, I guess, from some Asian manufacturer. It kind of surprised me. They have them in versions where they're just AC output, and they have them with unregulated DC at various frequencies, or voltages rather, and they have them with a linear regulator in them if you want something that's regulated.
Oh, I'm making a mess. So is it? I took this out of one of the bricks I bought. Actually, I bought 2 bricks, and it had the linear transformer. And I was like surprised I was able to still buy a transformer, because buying transformers are very difficult for power supplies. They become hen's teeth.
Sure, right. So that looks like it has the split bobbin I was talking about, where it's got 2 windings, not on top of each other, but next to each other.
Right.
And so I think that's what's in the wall warts from Jameco.
That's where I got them. They had them on sale because they were dumping them.
Okay. So was it a wall wart you bought there?
Yeah, that's a wall wart tore apart, and then I accessed it so I could put my own regulator on it.
Okay. Yeah, so those are things, you know, I'm looking at. I mean, they have them with regulators in them. They have them with just bridge rectifier and a capacitor. They have them just AC output as well. So, I mean, you could also You know, use one with AC and have an isolated AC feed.
Yeah, this was just a bridge. It's a bridge in it. Well, I have my own circuit underneath. But
Right,
if you just look at it's just a bridge rectifier, 4 diode with a capacitor.
right.
So you get the whatever the line voltage is, that's what you get on the output as far as regulation.
So the thing I like about, purchasing a commercial wall wart that you plug in the wall is that 110 volt side of it is not, you know, handcrafted at home. And if you're going to have people putting this in their houses and stuff, yeah, I think we should be using those instead of something you made. That's all.
What is the voltage and the current that you need, Elmer, at the circuit?
When I measured both DC to DC converters, in other words, I prototyped the same thing that was out at the antenna. Mine's now at Nathaniel's, but the receiver is I put it in this box I could play. So I measured about 110 milliamps necessary to drive this, and that wasn't adding anything for overhead. Without the DC to DC converters, it might be a little bit less, but there's a what is it, a TL 1010 that pulls a little bit of current out of here, so that I can't starve. So yeah, so we're looking at about 110 milliamps.
And is that one voltage or
That's
two?
That's plus minus. It's
Oh,
set up for
plus
15.
15 volts plus and minus.
Correct. And again, I'm just taking the circuit that was in play, and then what I did to the back of this, the DC to, well, you can't tell, but the DC to DC brick per Clint, I came up with where to land it. And if you put the 47 nano across it, this supply doesn't radiate anything that I could pick up at HF. And that's putting the antenna right next to it. Now, if I just ran this normal as was designed, my shack became deaf. It just crazy. And there's two of these, one here and one at the antenna. I'm proposing we get rid of this one and we go over to the circuit that I described here with the galvanic action on it. But because of the battery idea being invoked, it's possible that the battery idea gets rid of everything inside the shack and we just send DC out to the switcher at the antenna, put the capacitor there to settle it down. And the only thing that we have inside is the audio transformer. Forget the number of it, but there's an audio transformer both inside and outside to keep it isolated. That works well.
Elmer, this is for the VLF receiver amplifier, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's an SP. Oh, come on,
SP70.
There you go. The little red guy. Can't see it because I don't have any light. But anyway.
What I've done on this stuff that I've been working on, I spun a what I call an ultra low noise power supply, which is what it is a reference driving an op amp, so it's a linear supply, and it's very low noise. And I've got it set up right now. I've got it set to run at 5 volts, but you can program the voltage on the thing. You just have to be sure the capacitors that are used would work at the standoff voltage. And I also built a dual supply, and I have some problems in my board there, but it was headed for plus and minus support, so I can run differentially, because my goal is to be able to do all this differential so that I'm away from the ground noise, or to reduce noise from ground, because you do always have noise. And I think you could even pick up some noise on your DC line if you're running it from the house out there, unless it's going underground in conduit or something to shield it to some extent. So
it's running over Cat 6 cable. It is buried, but it's along with other cables that are going out there.
Okay. So you don't need a whole lot of current when you get out there. You could put a little supply out there if you needed to filter things and clean them up. And that's what you said you were trying to do. And all batteries are not the same in terms of noise production. Some batteries can be noisy too. So,
Yeah, everything has noise in it, even the solar panel.
that's
By
right.
not the charger, the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
But there's diminishing
it's
returns here.
whack-a-mole. I call it whack-a-mole, or other people call it whack-a-mole. But from where we were to where it is now, Nathaniel went from just being on the chart to number 26 now,
Okay.
as far as the whisper, head-to-head thing goes. So there's room for improvement on all the antennas. We just ran out of time. Like I said, a week of trying everything to make sure that the equipment I was using and the cables and the connectors weren't the problem and everything's tight. There were a number of supply issues and things like that. And as you peel the onion, you find the next one. So we got it as good as we could within that 7 or 6 days, whatever it was. And like I said, he went from being in the 60s and 70s up to 26 on average. So both the DXE and the SAS should perform exactly the same. And the one day that I took a quick snapshot, making sure the sun was in the right place and everything else so that the numbers are somewhat normal, the actual raw count was exactly the same. So they do perform very well. It's just that the noise problem for each one is different and the locations are different too. So if I pick up an antenna, I move it 6 feet, it's a different noise source.
So did you have a chance to try out, various
Yes.
filters,
We put the
front end
shelving filter,
filters?
we put the shelving filter in with the 60 megahertz roll off.
Okay.
We stuck that in, and that was I think the last thing I did was put that in really quick. I did not try the amplified version of it. I didn't have a
Yeah,
cable
I
actually to hook it up.
suspect, well, I mean, these are preamplified antennas, so you probably don't need it, but I guess somebody's got to go through the numbers or at least test that to make sure. But so did you, that filter, the 3060 shelf thing that I sent, so that appears to work
Yep, it's in there
reasonably
playing
well
now.
for you then?
Yep, it's working right now. But I'd
Okay.
asked Nathaniel, at some point I wanted to move it over to the DXE. It's on SAS right now. And I wanted to see what would happen if we just slid it over to DXE and how it would look, because I didn't have a time to swap it.
Okay, well, I'll take whatever good news I can get, because about a week ago I put in an order for 50 more of those filters. So,
No, it looked good. It actually pushed the AM band way down there, so that was
it
nice.
should, yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. And Nathaniel, if you end up not needing them, I mean, you're all that's fine. But if you do need them, I should be able to provide them.
Great, thank you.
So, Elmer, can I ask you that T1 transformer thing you had that you held up?
Yes.
So that's a mini circuits transformer on a circuit board or something?
Yeah, I because I was going to do this project, I didn't have anything in the shack at the time, so I bought mini circuits units and hand whipped them out real quick because I didn't have time to buy them before I left here. This one was 0.2 dB loss across the band. It starts at 0.03 megahertz and goes out to 100 megahertz or something like that. They weren't cheap.
Yeah, they've got more than enough bandwidth for the HF side.
And those are similar to the ones that are available from TAPR, correct?
I don't know. That's why I said I didn't have a time to do anything
Okay.
other than I had a spool of transformers and I had found these little pillboxes. So I just took a circuit board, nipped it, put some wire on it, and now I got a T1 in a box.
So it's not a commercial product. That's what I was looking
Not
for.
this one. I had one from Glenn on a board that was pre-built or whatever. That was 0.6 dB loss. So because I only had one of those, I left mine there so that everybody was equal as opposed to one having more loss than the other.
Oh,
And
are those
the
using
bandwidth
those
on it was wider.
using those on the differential, the Signal, or is that single-ended?
Well, the SAS, I took the out A minus, combined it, and then that went to the filter. Then that went from the filter to the T1 for distribution.
Okay. So yeah,
Again,
so if it
the T1 didn't help HF at all. It was involved in the VLF noise reduction process.
okay.
And it was kind of strange that the shield was not the carrier on the SAS antenna. It was the when I attached the RX-888 to the system, holding up the shields just to watch and listen. I should say listen. Heard nothing. As soon as I screwed it on, then I heard the harmonics. So I'm still playing around, taking even the 888 to DC, not coming from the USB.
Yeah, I got to run here pretty soon, but Scott Newell, are you still there? Yeah, if you like, again, I've got no easy way at the moment to test my BPSK board with with a receiver. I can I can listen to it, with one of my ham receivers, key clicks and stuff like that, the unfiltered BPSK signals. Anyway, if you did want to have one to play with, I'd be happy to send you one. I'll put it in the box and, write something up to show you what goes where. And but it sounds like you already have a BPSK, some method of generating that. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, anyway, let me know if you want, one in a pretty blue box. Otherwise, I
Did
guess.
you did you get my email?
Yeah, I did. Again, you know, I am so far away from being able to actually test the receiver end of this, proposed system for injecting timestamping. That's a lot of software. I don't even have I've got a 888 and a B-Link here, but I don't even have them hooked up to anything yet. So, and again, there's a lot of system and software stuff I would have to come up to speed on. So, as much as I want to do that, it's not going to happen anytime real soon. So, if it would help you at all, I'm happy to send you one. I don't expect, you know, if you wanted to play with it, that would be fine. I'd be happy to send you one.
Well, the two big concerns I've got is I'm not a terrific receive site. So if we're looking for someone to test, whether or not this occupied bandwidth is a problem, then I'm probably not a good choice. And I can do software remotely if another site is a better option. The other thing is if I need to get a Bodnar ordered, you need to let me know because I
Well,
don't have
if you
one.
want to use what I've got, the simplest way to drive it is with the two output Bodnar. So you get, your carrier frequency, and we'd have to choose that if we want to put filters in it. You probably don't actually need filters with the injector that I'm contemplating, but we could put the filter. The board will support it. Anyway, so the Bodnar would provide PPS and, the whatever carrier frequency was chosen. That's the simplest way to do it anyway.
Yeah, I've got multiple sources for a PPS. The only thing I would have for a carrier would probably be the Tektronix arbitrary function generator. I can program a sine wave at whatever frequency I need.
Yeah, and I don't know how accurate this carrier frequency needs to be for the
Not very.
timestamp. I mean,
Not
I could
very.
send you a little box. It's got it, and program it. You can program it to generate, whatever frequency you want. It's one little I call it a tiny clock. It's on the website, but I haven't really announced it. But it's got a SI 5351 in it, and it'll take a 10 megahertz reference clock, but it also has just a cheesy little low accuracy crystal inside, and that's maybe just good enough right there for this application. So if you just want a little signal source, powers via USB-C connector, as does um, the BPSK board. Again, I'd be happy to send you one if
Yeah,
that
I'm
would be
using
useful to you. If it's not useful, we shouldn't bother. But if you thought it would be useful at some point, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, what I've got now is a micro and a 5351 and an XOR gate. And I've also got a Talo mixer that I can switch between. So I think other than what I don't have is the coupler. I'm doing this over the air, 6 feet between my source and my radio.
Yeah,
But
if
if
we
you're
just
wanting,
pick a carrier amplitude, so I don't know, would 10 microvolts, to 50 ohms, so that probably gives you a reasonable signal to noise ratio. Or 100 microvolts, it probably doesn't matter much. Anyway, we can talk about that offline if you're
okay, got
interested.
it.
And I would, if Clint's still available to discuss those options, I'd appreciate that too. So I'll send email. We can do this via email.
Perfect.
Hey,
Thank you.
Clint.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to use one in anger, we could just connect it up in northern Utah.
I mean, the real question is, who's going to work on the software on the receiver side to turn this BPSK into, some time reference signal that can be used?
Well, Scott's pretty close. In fact, he was telling me that he was using some of the old off-air recordings from one of the eclipses and pulling my off-air signal and recovering the BPSK from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Well, we've got our email list going. I'll sort of resurrect that here, and we can talk about details. And again, I build hardware, so if it's useful, um, I'd again enjoy having that move ahead.
Well, if Clint has a dual output Bodnar and is willing to put it at northern Utah, and I can have remote access to 888. I think that would be a terrific option.
yeah,
If everybody's on board with that.
well, yeah, we can come up with something that'll work there, and we're using the one Bodnar on the 888, but I can throw a prog rock, QRP Labs prog rock at it to put it on any frequency I wish. I'd probably
Okay.
put it in the null between the 30 meg. There's a big dip at about 33 meg where it transitions from HF to 6 meters. And that's down at the noise floor, and that'd be a perfect place to insert such a signal. Or up at Nyquist, either one's fine.
Yeah, if we run it at 97.5 megahertz, then with either the 65 meg or the 130 meg sample rate, that ends up aliasing down to 32.5 megahertz. So it'd be the same frequency regardless of of whichever of the two sample rates you chose.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, just throw that in the yeah.
And we just need enough signal to punch through the crappy low pass filter in the 888. If we chose 97 megs, it's going to be down somewhat. I think Clint, you've got some numbers for the attenuation of the front end filter on the 888.
I can bring those up right now. Maybe. Let's see here. Frequency response, 96 meg essentially.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What does it say? 95 meg, it's down a whopping 38 dB.
Okay. We got plenty of signal to play with, so just attenuate it you know, so after 38 dB of attenuation, you know, get something that's comfortably high enough over the noise floor to, you know, provide a good signal.
Right.
Okay. Again, I don't want to dominate this call here, but I'll send out some email and we could follow up on that.
Sounds good.
I'm excited.
Good. Me too.
That sounds really good. Elmer, two things. One, I double checked the circuit breaker on my barn and it was turned on.
Okay. So we
And
don't have any
then-
current, we didn't have any current running out there, and
No, well, I mean the wire was live, but there's nothing in the barn that was turned on. So
okay.
and the other question I have is in Whisper Demon, I think we have the wrong reporter grid set for me. I have FN21EJ instead of FN21EI. If I just change that in the whisperdemon.conf file in the Whisper Demon folder, do I have to restart anything to get it to recognize that?
Do the WDZ and the WD dash big A.
WD dash big A.
Yeah, after you do a WDZ, just shut it down and
Okay.
then restart it.
WDZ.
No, don't use WD dash capital A. Just use
Oh, you don't use that anymore?
WDA. 3 letters.
Oh, you
WDA.
changed it?
Yeah, I did months ago. I use WDA now.
So WDA starts it.
It start. Z stops it. S gives you the status.
All right. I'm doing that. I just restarted the SAS one.
So does WD-A do anything other than
It does the same thing as A, but it doesn't check that to make sure that you're set up to start as a system control service, and so I just to be that's what I test is the simple WDA. I went through and tried to simplify all this because I was typing WD dash lowercase a, which is something entirely different. So no need to type shift characters or space bar. You can.
Yay!
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, I got to run here, but thank you for the QST pointer. I logged in and saw my smiling face along with everyone else there. Nice picture. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you later. I'll send some email out on the email list that I started for the BPSK stuff, and talk to you guys later.
Thanks. I'm going to say 73 as well. I got my grid square updated on all 3 of my systems. I'm getting new electric circuits installed tomorrow morning to power all of some additional wall air conditioners in the other room. So my systems will probably be down for a few hours, and then we'll have to double check the spectrum after that to hope that it didn't screw anything else up.
All right. Good night. I'm going to bed too.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Hey,